Hey y'all, what's up? It's Lauren and welcome back to my channel. So today I thought we would be talking about a book that I've gotten here recently. A Court of Mist and Fury by Sarah J. Maas. I got this with the last bit of my birthday money that I got from my brother, and I'm so excited that I got it. I freaking loved A Court of Thorns and Roses. I read it in about 2 days. That was pretty much the same way this one worked. I was totally enthralled. I was so mesmerized by the world that Sarah J. Maas had created. I'd never really been into like the fairy kind of stuff, so that was really interesting for me, and I'm glad that I was like into it because I freaking loved it. So with that money I was like, I'm gonna go buy me the second half or the second book in the series, and I did, and look at how thick it is. It made me so happy about how thick this was. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get into the book review. I would like to preface this first of all by saying that this is going to be a spoiler-free / spoilery video. So whenever I tell you to stop, go read the book, come back when you've read the book, that's, you know, when it's time for the spoilers. So I will let you know when it's time for the spoilers. I'm not planning on making this very long, but I do have a lot to say about this book, so I'm not sure how long it's going to be. So there you go. Okay, back to the book. Ladies, gents, we all have that fictional crush in our life. You know, the one that you sit there and you compare every other romantic possibility up to. Yes, for me that was Maxon Shreve up until I met freaking Rhysand. Move over, Maxon. Hello, Rhysand. I have a new man in my life and his name is Rhysand. I freaking loved him. Okay, we're gonna go talk about him later. Okay, we're gonna go talk to him or talk about him later on. First, I just want to talk about the story and the world building. I thought she did a brilliant job. Usually, a second book in a series sucks, and it's not as good as like the first. But this one was so hype. It was so hype, and we left off where, I don't know if y'all remember where we left off in A Court of Thorns and Roses, but we left off with her coming out of Aramantha's cave and being ravaged by the things that happened to her and by the things that she was made to do in there. She absolutely was very just devastated by it all. And so now we get to see the effects of that happening in this book. Yeah, it's absolutely so great. She still does such a phenomenal job. I still can feel like everything that she goes through. I can feel the agony and the grief and everything that she's just gone through, and it's just absolutely brilliant, and I absolutely love it. I can feel like I'm in spring. And she takes us to the Night Court. We get to see the Night Court in Valaris and the Hewn City, and we get to see all this stuff in this book, and I'm so excited and happy that we get to see it because she does such a good job at like the descriptive details, but she doesn't do it to where it's like you're slogging through it like George R.R. Martin, who is also another huge fantasy writer who writes huge books, but too much detail on the world building and not enough on like the talking. It's just, for him it was crazy. But this, she did such a good job. She found a way to make it descriptive, but she also found a way to make us be there. You know, put us in there with Rhysand and Feyre and Mor and Amren and Azriel and Cassian, and she did such a good job at putting us in the story. Like I told you about in the first one, she was walking through like the freezing cold, and it was like bone chilling. Like the words she used to describe the cold in the forest, I could literally sit there and feel. I mean, we have an AC unit here at the house, so like, I mean, and it gets pretty cold, but like still, I was like, oh my gosh, you know, I could feel it. And she does such a good job of that, and I appreciate her for that. And another thing that I really appreciate Sarah J. Maas for is her use of words and like her particular, like, I guess word choice or word syntax or whatever you want to call it. Like an example is like when she's at the Weaver's house in this book. She's there to go retrieve something for Resand as kind of like a test or whatever you want to call it. And she goes in and her focus is on like getting this object, but making sure, like, you know, don't let the door close behind you or whatever. But the door does close, and she goes, it closes, or I hear the snick of the door, and I'm like, that is what a door sounds like whenever it closes, you know? Like, it sounds like, it makes the sound that I think a door would say, and it's very hard, not say, but I mean, y'all know, make. It's very hard as a writer, because I'm writing as well, to get these sounds and things in your mind and actually put a word on them. But Sarah J. Maas is brilliant at doing that, and I appreciate her for that. Oh my gosh. For the world building, now, like I said, I'm a detail-oriented person. I do like knowing the setting. I do like being fully submersed in the setting. But you have to show me, don't tell me. And she did a phenomenal job at showing me and not telling me where she is. And I was completely floored. So kudos to Sarah J. Maas. You are becoming one of my absolute favorite authors. Holy freaking cow. I love it. I love, and another thing, so now we're going to get into the character development. I absolutely love her character development this go around. She's given us more depth to Farah, Tamlin, Resand, introduced us to some new characters, still got some old characters up in there, and all this whole time, she's still keeping true to Farah's voice, she's keeping true to Resand's voice, she's staying true to all of these voices, and I cannot appreciate that as a writer enough. That's something that I try to do whenever I write, is keep my character authentic to who they are and try and make them as less 2D as possible, and she does a phenomenal job at that. In Court of Thorns and Roses, I knew that we were going to be seeing more of Resand, and I was actually kind of excited to see a little bit more of Resand, because to me, in there, he was more, in my last video of the review of A Court of Thorns and Roses, I had described him as sort of like a Loki character. And the way I feel about Loki is that he's an anti-hero. Loki in the Marvel movies, not Loki in the actual Norse mythology, but the Loki played by Tom Hiddleston in the Marvel videos or movies, I feel like he is an anti-hero. And I feel like there's some good to him. I also felt the same exact way about my man Resand in A Court of Thorns and Roses, because I was like, well, he helped. I was like, he helped my girl Farah. I was like, he was so for that. And I said, I knew that there was going to be something coming up with him, and, you know, the whole backstory about him and Amarantha and everything like that. And I knew something was up. I knew something was going to come, and I'm so excited that it did. And I was like going to kind of see how this bargain was going to turn out, because, you know, at the end of the book, at the end of A Court of Thorns and Roses, she has this tattoo on her hand, and she's like, it's the bargain that she has with my man Resand. So yeah, this book starts out with her and Tamlin, and I was kind of glad to see Tamlin come back, but I didn't appreciate a lot of the stuff that he did. I thought he was very controlling, very overprotective, like way overprotective. But then I also felt like in his overprotectiveness, you know, he was damaging her even more, and he was hurting her, you know. And I reading this, his temper is what got me. His temper was so bad that he blew his study up, and she got like, I mean, because he got pissed at her for something, and I was like, that's wrong, that's totally wrong. And I was like, that's just insane. He needs to protect her from himself, which is a very sad thing, but it's true. I think Tamlin has a lot to offer, and I think that if he got in with the right people, Meaning if he allied himself with Rhysand, he probably would be better, and he wasn't so caught up on Feyre. I don't like Tamlin. He gets on my nerves. I can't believe he freaking did what he did, which we're going to be talking about. Okay, this is just going to be a spoilery video, you know? I don't know. But, I still would like to talk about Feyre just a little bit. I love her progression throughout this. She does start out very, like, broken and upset, and she gets even more broken as time progresses until Tamlin locks her in the house. And I mean, like, locks her. And I suffer from claustrophobia, so for me, that part was so well written. I absolutely loved it. I was like, that's exactly how I feel when I'm locked, or when I'm in a tight space and I can't breathe and I can't move and I can't think, and like it was well done. And so yeah, we had my man Rhysand come in there. Well, not Rhysand, but we had somebody else come in there and rescue her. And I loved the fact that he gave her space. Tamlin never gave her space. Well, he might have given her too much space, but like, I think Tamlin's problem was the fact that he didn't want to talk about it to her. And I think he might not have been one of those guys that's like wants to deal with his girl's problems. And, you know, and I understand he probably didn't want to push her, but, like, she needed that right there. You know, she needed that kind of talking to until, you know, things just got really, really bad and he locked her up. And then she was like, no, I'm done. And I think I love, and this is getting into the Rhysand-Feyre relationship. Sorry if you're watching. I didn't mean to spoil that for you. I apologize. I would just, yeah. So, yeah, it's just, I love the Feyre-Rhysand relationship. They start out as friends, and it's not like the love at first sight on both parts kind of thing, and I'm loving that as well. And I like the fact that Feyre she acknowledged that she was a different girl with Tamlin. You know, she acknowledged that, okay, yeah, she did love Tamlin. She doesn't hate him, but he has some work to do, but she's not the same girl that she was when she was with Tamlin. And I really think that was really cool that she could acknowledge that growth and that difference in her, because that takes a lot for a person to come to realize. So I appreciate that. And she, you know, eventually realizes, you know, hey, we get Rhysand in there, and Rhysand's like, you take your time, you don't want to talk about it, that's fine. He started to make her laugh. He started to bring her back. He brought her back, and I'm just getting cold chills just thinking about it. He saved her from all of this, and I think that she needed to find her own way, and I think through him, she did that. And I absolutely loved it. And he gives her space. He's like, you go over there, you shine. He's like, you've got this, girl. He goes, I know you've got it. He's like, you don't need protecting. He's like, you can make your own decisions. And I really appreciate that, because, you know, that gives Feyre a sense of her own independence. And, you know, maybe as a human, she needed protecting and needed that at her point in life. And maybe that's what Tamlin gave her at that point in her time, or at that point in her life. But then, you know, like I said, she changed, became a different person, and now she doesn't need protection. She can do this on her own. She just needs a little help to get there along the way, and I think Rhysand was the perfect one to give her that help, and so I appreciate that as well. Oh my gosh, I love her and Rhysand. Now, I am going to say, if you are a teenager watching this, do not pick this book up unless you're about, I would say, maybe 17 or 18, because this does have some mature content in it, or it has adult content in it. So I would say this is a new adult. I don't know why they have this labeled as young adult. I don't even know why they have A Court of Thorns and Roses labeled as young adult, but there are some very, very steamy love scenes in here. I'm just going to forewarn y'all now. That's all I'm going to say. But yeah, those aside, I think that the Feyre-Rhysand relationship is so good. You know, I think they are so good for each other. They're so healthy. It's a healthy relationship, and I really appreciate that as well. I just think Sarah J. Maas did such a phenomenal job. And I love how she kept me going throughout the entire thing. Like, I've never, except for the selection series, I have never read a book that was like, I have to get through this like in 2 days. And I got through this one in 2 days, and it was absolutely phenomenal. Let's talk about the ending for just a minute. Tamlin is like a butt. Okay, I'm going to keep this channel as PG to PG-13 as possible, so we're not going to say words that I know all of you would probably like to say, and y'all can fill in the blanks for me, but we're just going to keep it PG on this channel for right now, okay? He gets on my nerves, y'all. He gets on my nerves. Oh, Tamlin, he sold out his court, and he sold out his people for Farah. I'm sorry, but a person is not more than that. Like, he's obsessive, and it freaks me out, and I just don't like Tamlin at all. He makes me so mad, and I cannot even. I like to call him Tamlin the Tool, because he just sits there, and when he gets mad, he doesn't get his way, he throws a temper tantrum, blah, 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 and acts like a daggum child. Where, I mean, you know, and I'm sure probably Rhysand does it too, but still, I love me some Rhysand. It's not it's not Faysand anymore. It's Larsand. Yeah. Yeah, you know, overall, I gave this book on Goodreads 5 out of 5 stars. I loved it. I wish there were more. I absolutely loved it. I thought it was absolutely phenomenal. I finished it yesterday, and this is going up today. So, yeah. This is my first experience with Sarah J. Maas. And so far, I am absolutely loving her books. I am floored by everything. Now, I'm sure there are probably flaws about it. Just like there are some characters who just get on my nerves, and I'm sure there are other, like, you know, flaws about it, but I choose to point out the positives and the goods, and that's what I'm doing with this. So, yeah, that's it. I would like to really, as tradition on this channel, we are gonna go into what I'm reading next. I'm reading 2 books next. I'm reading one on my phone, and I'm reading one in person, like I did with Clockwork Angel and A Study in Charlotte, which will be going up next week. I am reading the Reluctant Brides collection. It's by Rosie Dow, Kathy Marie Hakes, Susanna Hayden, Yvonne Lehman, Colleen L. Reese, and Janet Spaeth. And I have another one of these books back behind me on my British shelf. It's called the British Brides Collection, and it's a collection of 6 stories talking about women getting married. I am trash for bride fiction, and this is bride fiction, and it's very clean bride fiction as well, because it's Christian fiction, and so I am so looking forward to it. It's so pretty. I love the pages. I love the cover. It's so pretty. And the other book I'm reading is A Court of Wings and Ruin by Sarah J. Maas. I'm about 20 chapters in. I'll probably have it finished by today, and y'all know. But other than that, you know, if y'all want to keep up with everything that I am posting, uploading, the next books that I'm reading, make sure y'all hit the subscribe button, the notification bell. Also, follow me on Instagram, Goodreads, and Twitter, so y'all know everything up to date as I post it. I always post on Goodreads whenever I finish a book and whenever I read new books and I start one. That's the first place. That's the best place you're going to find out what book I'm reading next if I don't decide within like the next 2 days. And then Instagram is the second place that I go, and I take pictures of my books and I actually upload them and let y'all know. So yeah, those are the first places that I upload. Other than that, I'm going to see y'all next time. Bye.